Hey gang, what's going on? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks for taking some time to check the video out. Much appreciated. Just actually heading to the gym right now, getting ready. Owen's got a weightlifting competition in Colorado we're going to be going to tomorrow afternoon, so trying to get some videos out, try to get ready for the trip. So I wanted to get today's out. But anyway guys, today we're going to be talking about some of the top summertime techniques for catching bass. You know, it seems like to me that every time we start getting close to July, which we are right now, fishing just gets tougher everywhere across the country. It's like the fishing gradually sort of goes downhill after, you know, the springtime of the year. Right now, you know, doing this video we're in, it's June 21st right now, and you start to see a noticeable decline in the fishing quality as those daytime temperatures get higher and higher. So we're gonna give you guys some good tips and advice on how to have a productive summer on the water. So real quick guys, I just want to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance to consider becoming a member of Intuitive Angling. And members get extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public, and access to my personal email address for some questions. And if you're interested, just go to my YouTube homepage, and there's a little button down there that says join. You can click that for the info, or just go to the about section, and it gives you the info for Intuitive membership. So much appreciated. Okay guys, I'm sort of going to give you my approach to summer fishing, how I do it once things gets tough. Now, to me, one of the last things that happens, like June can be really good in fishing because there's still some deeper schools of fish to be caught, bigger fish, and there's still quite a few fish to be caught shallow. So, you know, you can still have a pretty productive June. In fact, probably some of the biggest crankbait stringers of fish I've caught deep cranking have come in June. But man, I'm telling you, when July gets here, things just start getting tougher. So this is sort of what I do with it. First of all, you really have to take advantage of the bite early and late in the day. This is the classical early morning topwater, late in the evening topwater fishing. Not that it's that great, but it will get you some bites out there. There are some fish that feed at night that stay around the bank, you know, for a few hours early and late in the day. So one of the things I like to do, you know, if I'm fishing in the summer early in the morning, is I like to get on those main lake and secondary points right off the bat in the morning, throw like a walking topwater, maybe a popper, something like that. If you've got a lake that has a lot of riprap, riprap can be really good early in the morning, late in the evening for topwater. So that's usually one possible approach that I use. The next thing you have to do is there's still a determination of some deep fish and some shallow fish. They still last throughout the summer, but it just gets a little bit tougher to catch them. Now, for example, man, that guy just went around that curve about 100 miles an hour. A 25-year-old guy that didn't know better. But anyway, there are a couple different things to remember on that. One of the first things I look for in the dog days of summer, July, August, early September, is I try to go to the dirtiest water I can find in the lake. And I do, you know, some reaction fishing, like with spinnerbaits, crankbaits, heavy jigs, heavy Texas rigs, that type of stuff. Trying to create a reaction bite in that dirty water, fishing whatever cover's available. I mean, if you're in a lake like, you know, my lakes around here, you just basically have rock cover, so I'm looking for that. Some of you guys, like Lake Eufaula, Alabama, you may have some grass cover, some shallow bank grass. It just depends on where you're at. I mean, it could be wood, grass, rock. But getting in those areas that has that dirty water, specifically if it's got a little bit of moving water, like the upper ends of the creeks and rivers, and just fishing around shallow targets. I mean, that's one way to catch them. I'm not saying you're gonna set the world on fire, but you can get some bites doing that. It is one, you know, decent way to approach the summertime. The next thing is docks. I mean, if you've got a lake that have docks can be really good in the summertime. The main reason is the shade they provide. I mean, fish live on docks 12 months out of the year based upon the depth of the dock. But one of the things that I found is dock fishing is pretty consistent throughout the summer. And it doesn't really matter what type of dock it is. It could be, you could have a piling dock, like if you guys are fishing in Lake Norman in North Carolina, or you can have floating docks like they are here at Lake of the Ozarks. Bass will relate to the shade, and how they relate to a dock has to do with the depth of the dock and the water visibility. Sometimes those fish are going to suspend around those docks. Sometimes they're going to be on the shallow pilings, if the dock's set up like that. Sometimes they're going to be around some brush around the docks. That's probably the best way to catch them in the summer, is if you can find some brush around those docks. So it's hard to beat that. Now there's also, you know, a deep water bite, but what happens in the summertime, for the most part, bass aren't quite as deep offshore. I mean, say for example, if I was catching them 25 foot deep in June, in July, I usually catch them, you know, 10 to 15 feet. But for me, the big key is fishing brush piles. I mean, again, it depends on where you're at, but bass will move away from the hard breaks and structure like they are in June, and in the summertime they get on brush piles. And I do not like fishing brush piles because you have to look for them. If you don't, there's brush in every lake. People put so much brush in lake, but you have to spend a lot of time idling around, graphing around, looking for brush, and I simply don't like to do that. You know, people have learned better than to put brush on points because they're so obvious. So what they do is, most people that plant brush will put them on the sides of points, or they'll put them in the middle of guts, middle of cuts, middle of coves. That's where you're going to find a lot of your brush. So that's one option. And finally, don't overlook, again, the shallow bluegill situation. You hear me talk about it all the time on the channel, but these bluegill and the perch, they're going to spawn all year long in the summertime. And you can get back in those super shallow areas, like the backs of the coves, all that type of stuff. Throw a swim jig, throw a walk in top water, and you can catch some fish off those spawning bluegill all summer. So anyway, guys, that's sort of my approach to the summer. Don't look for it to be great. Fishing in the summer is tougher, and it gets tougher as the summer goes on. July's tough, August gets tougher, September gets even tougher. That's just sort of the reality of the situation, but you can still get some bites. So anyway, I hope it helps. We'll talk later.